The suspect accused of killing a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband and attempting to kill a state senator and his wife has been captured. Vance Bolader surrendered to police after they located him in the woods near his home.
Officers also recovering 3 AK-47 rifles belonging to him after searching his car and a list of other public officials' addresses. Officials at this time believe he acted alone. His bail set at $5 million. He is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder, with more charges possible.
Both the FBI, United States Attorney's Office, who are examining whether or not additional charges should be brought at the federal level related to this at this time.
Footage shows a suspect impersonating a police officer as he approaches the victims' homes. He then shot and killed State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark.
Suspects also accused of shooting State Senator John Hoffman 9 times, along with his wife, who was shot 8 times.
Senator Hoffman came out of his final surgery and is moving towards recovery. A vet is healing. Now's the time for us to recommit to the core values of this country. And each and every one of us can do it. Talk to a neighbor rather than arguing. Debate an issue. Shake hands. Find common ground.
Officials say the manhunt for Bolader was the largest in Minnesota's history.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Okay. All right, guys. All right, like, fine. I was expecting a little more from the cold, but that's fine. All right. Clip from, what is that, Saddam Hussein? Is that the Saddam Hussein capture? Okay. All right. You know what? Fine. I will take the throwback. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot going on right now. So much, in fact, that we are just extremely excited for today's show, and we hope you are too. What up to the chat? How was your weekend? I had an amazing Father's Day, and a massive shout out to all the dads out there keeping America strong. Strong nations require strong fathers. We're going to have 2 very strong fathers on the show today. Live with us in minutes is going to be Don Jr. and Eric Trump, live from Trump Tower, in fact, after a massive announcement this morning. Today is Monday, June 16th, 2025. Minnesota suspected assassin Vance Bolader was captured alive after intense manhunt. But there's so many mysteries about this dark event in Minnesota, and there is a lot of disinformation out there. We're going to go through the facts on the program. What the hell's happening here? Is it a massive false flag? Nothing seems to make sense. There seems to be a massive constellation of disinformation and everyone pointing fingers at each other. So we're going to go through the cold, hard facts. We're going to show you the evidence on screen, and we'll, I guess, let you decide. We can only assume that we're not getting the full picture. I'm sorry, but these are the same agencies that brought you the Whitmer Fednapping, that brought you January 6th, that brought you the Epstein cases, that brought you Ghislaine Maxwell. These are the same people. So we're going to show you all of the available evidence, and we're going to talk through, like, what's actually happening here. It's very, very strange and very dark and very evil. Something's wrong in Minnesota, ladies and gentlemen. Horror in the heartland. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu claims that Iran is trying to assassinate President Trump. Yikes. Maybe we'll talk to Eric and Don about that. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Make sure that you are locked in and going gold. We're going to get a little bit ahead of ourselves here and tell you that Eric and Dawn announced that they are launching Trump Mobile, which is going to be a cell phone made here in America. We're very excited to chat with them about that. One of the first phones they're going to make is a gold phone. It looks like a gold brick. Okay, it's pretty cool. All right. Well, what's the point? Well, they're in Trump Tower. Trump Tower's gold. The lobby's gold. The escalator's gold. It's amazing. Hopefully the hit is from the escalator. We're not sure. But gold has inherent value. Gold has real value. Notice when things pop off, like in Israel, like when Israel was bombing Iran, Iran was bombing Israel, what happened? Crypto crashes, stock market crashes, gold skyrockets. That's what's called a hedge, ladies and gentlemen. That's why some of the smartest people in the business, including the Trumps, use gold in order to project true authority and value throughout all time. Legally move your IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver right now. Avoid taxes and penalties using a little-known IRS-approved strategy, and find out how you can receive $10,000 in free gold and silver if you qualify. Protect your retirement and your earnings before it's too late with a one-on-one precious metals appointment. Just text Benny to 85545. Text Benny to 85545 right now. Visit AdvantageGold.com. Make sure that you are locking in your golden future. There's no cost, just the truth. Data and message rate supply. Performance may vary. Please consult your financial and tax professionals. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cover off the top here. In ALX, I want you to grab. There's a lot of strange things, so I just want to make sure that we're prepared to get through all of this, because there was too much crazy stuff that happened over the weekend. We're going to start, of course, with the number one trending topic on Earth, which is the horrifying systematic political murders that occurred in Minnesota. And I want to go through just the hard facts, because every side is trying to point fingers and blame each other, and none of it makes any sense. And I'll just say it, none of it makes any sense. And I hope that they reveal, just like with every other operation, I hope that they tell us what actually happened on January 6th. I mean, we know what happened, obviously. The evidence belies what happened. They created systemic security failures. They goaded the crowd into peacefully protesting and parading through the Capitol, which is what they charged them all with. It's so violent. Well, then why are they all charged with just parading? Okay, got it. But listen, people, we want the evidence. We need to see it all. I'm not going to say that I'm smarter than the people doing on the ground investigating, or that I have some evidence. I don't. What I do have is a constellation of very strange events that occurred. And if you are getting if you're getting your meter tipped off here that something odd is going on, something strange is going on, then follow me on these fact patterns. In ALX, I need just the assets put up as we're talking through them. All right. Show me the guy's photo. Show me the dude's photo. Let's go. There he is, creepy guy at the door. All right. So this is apparently Vance Bolader. His name is Vance Bolader. Let's talk quickly about Vance. Vance Bolader is somebody who was appointed by Tim Walz to a governor's board for business. You have Tim Walz's signature on the board itself. Vance Bolader is a security professional. He runs a security company with his wife. Vance Bolader is somebody who has a security background. He had access to a lot of security detail and gear, and that's what allegedly you see here in this photo. Now you see here in this photo, zoom. You see here in this photo that Vance Bolader is wearing police and tactical gear as he shows up to a Democrat senator and the Speaker of the House home residences on Saturday. It's 2 a.m. on Saturday morning. First off, get yourself a Ring camera. I'm sure a lot of people do. They're not a sponsor of the show or anything, but get yourself a camera on your house, whatever it is. If you see somebody wearing a mask like that in that gear, and he doesn't have anyone with him, he's just alone, don't answer the door. Keep the door locked. I'm sending this guy to Jesus, okay? You show up at my house like that at 2 a.m. or anytime, you're going straight to Jesus, okay? I'll let Jesus sort you out. And in Florida, they'll give me a medal for it. Maybe not in Minnesota, probably not in Minnesota, in woke-ass Minnesota. But in Florida, they'll say, congratulations, good job. I'll get a promotional. They'll elect me mayor for doing that. This guy, Vance Bolader, this is allegedly him, he used this outfit in order to get in and systematically commit political assassinations. Now, I say this allegedly because they're going to have to prove it. And there's some very strange details that just don't make no sense to me, okay, as somebody just observing all of this. First off, why the Walter White mask? And we think we've cracked this case. There's this famous series called Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is the show that features a kindly chemistry teacher named Walter White who breaks bad and turns into a big drug kingpin. And there's a famous scene in that show where Walter White explains that he is the one who knocks, meaning he's the person who knocks on the door and commits a murder. All right? And this is a Walter White mask. I think that's what they're trying to say here. It's very creepy. It's very strange. It's very weird. Here's the scene. Let's just start there.
Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
There we go. Okay. So I'm the one who knocks. Here's the Walter White mask. You can see it as clear as day. You can even see it in the eyes, right? Because obviously Walter White spirals throughout the series, and obviously his life of crime weighs on him, and he's looking really rough by the end of the series. That's the mask. This guy was like sending some type of like crazy, kind of like insane message here, right? I am the one who knocks. Well, anyway, he ended up shooting and tragically killing Melissa Hortman, who was the Speaker of the House. These are Democrats. And she had just taken a very controversial vote, sided with Republicans, and stripped away access to free health care for criminal aliens in the state of Minnesota. So, again, she's a very centrist Democrat. These are very centrist Democrats that were targeted for political assassination. Okay. So if this isn't creepy enough, man, get ready. We haven't even gotten started here. Vance Bolader, after committing these murders, which are patently evil and horrifying, and never once ever in the history of the show have we ever advocated for anything other than peace. Obviously, we disavow all of this, but it's very strange because he had been appointed to a board by Tim Walz, and then when they checked his car, they found a bunch of No Kings flyers, which, of course, the No Kings flyers, this far left-wing anti-Trump rally, that was a total bomb this weekend, but nonetheless, this is like a big-time anti-Trump activist organization. Well, that's certainly not right-wing. Working for Tim Walz isn't right-wing. Tim Walz is here's Tim Walz's signature appointing this guy. And then we come to find out that his wife worked for Tim Walz. Well, these aren't like hardcore MAGA Republican things, but it gets even worse. Ladies and gentlemen, Vance Bolader, the alleged shooter here, ran a nonprofit called the Red Lions Group that was funded by USAID, that was funded by federal nonprofits, NGOs, and cutouts. The Red Lions Group, the goal of that group was to relocate African aliens into Minneapolis, Minnesota. He worked for that group. Now, could there have been some anger in the fact that USAID was all cut? Maybe. Could there have been some anger in the fact that, like, now criminal aliens are not allowed free health care? Maybe that, like, limits the funding. Obviously, there's a ton of fraud. There's so much Medicaid and Medicare fraud throughout the country. It's a huge industry. It's a huge business. Sink your hooks into. Could that have been a motivation? I don't know. Sure as hell seems like it. But anyway, to me, you put this constellation together and you say, well, he worked for Tim Walz. His wife worked for Tim Walz. They were appointed. Ladies and gentlemen, how we doing? Good? All right. We apologize. Just how it goes sometimes. Here we go. Yes. Got it. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, boys. You know, this always happens. You're talking about these creepy ass things that go on. You're talking about this dark stuff. It's always the case. It's always the case. And then suddenly, blip, something, just a little hiccup in the show. It's crazy. Whatever, man. Do you want to get radicalized? Yeah, that's right. Watch the show. Okay, all right. Anyway, let's just the constellation don't make no sense. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. I've been to ALX. How many MAGA rallies we've been to? Hundreds. We've flown in Trump's jet a bunch of times. We hang out with the kids. His kids are going to be on there. We know MAGA. Don and Eric are going to be on the show in like a second. We know MAGA. I know my people. I know MAGA. All right, I know them. It is not normal in MAGA to go work for Kamala Harris's vice president, the single most radical and extremist Maoist elected to the Democrat Party. That is not normal. Violence is not normal in MAGA. Violence is normal on the left. Violence on the left is something that is baked into the Democrat Party. Violence on the left is actually what brings you the No Kings logo. Check this out. This logo is like a target on Donald Trump's head. This is the No Kings logo. Tim Walz was about to speak at this rally. Something's very odd here. But MAGA doesn't go work for Tim Walz. MAGA doesn't marry like women who work for Tim Walz. MAGA doesn't side with Tim Walz. MAGA doesn't commit violence. MAGA disavows all political violence. Violence is of the political left. The political left just shot and killed the United Healthcare CEO. The political left tried to murder Donald Trump multiple times. And literally just ran rallies this weekend, calling, of course, for violence that spread throughout Los Angeles, targeting ICE and federal agents. The political left set up Chaz and Chop, the George Floyd riots. The political left gunned down members of Congress on a baseball field because they were Republicans. That man, also from the Midwest, also a radicalized MSNBC lunatic. I know MAGA. MAGA doesn't like, sorry guys, you're not MAGA if you're like running a massive African resettlement NGO with shady government funding. That's not MAGA. Okay, that's like I know my people. I know my people. That's not like your thing. It's like none of it makes sense. There's like massive red lights flashing here because they're trying to say this guy like was a massive Trump supporter without any evidence, by the way, with giving us exactly zero evidence. They're trying to say, oh, this is a Trump guy. Don't make no sense. He's arrested. Here's his photo from this morning. Now they brought in like the heavy hitters to arrest this guy. Look at this. These are like this is like tactical, like this is paramilitary teams. You can see a little Minnesota logo there on the guy's arm. Doesn't mean anything. It could be that they were deputized in Minnesota. This looks like government tactical to me. This looks exactly. We just embedded with the special forces in Fort Bragg. This looks exactly like that. Same gear, same tacticals. So let's get to like the actual details here. And here's his mugshot. And I'm gonna want that. His wanted poster, please, with the side by side. The police found him at the murder scene. The police find this guy at the murder scene. This man who was just apprehended crawling through a field on his belly in a fetal position, shaking and crying. He gave himself up. He didn't fight the cops. He gave himself up. He's 57. Zoom in. Photo on the right, please. He's not in shape. There's video of him limping after this. Limping. Guy looks like he could barely do a flight of stairs. But according to the police, and you can see the photo of the door, which was shot to smithereens, according to the police, this man was able to enter the home, got into a firefight with cops. They riddled the home with bullets. You can see at least a dozen bullet holes in this small photo of the door. He was able to survive this hail of bullets, retreat back into the house, and then the police just let him go? Don't make no sense to me. Now, I don't want a murder on the street. I want all murderers to be tried within the last letter of the law. I'd rather them be, quite frankly, sent up to their maker. You know, like by the cops when they're committing a heinous crime. But this just doesn't make any sense to me because this guy seems horribly out of shape. There's videos of him limping around. He was able to elude the SWAT team and all the police who said that they had the house surrounded at the time, retreat back into the house and escape. Huh? After that hail of bullets, after surviving that hail of bullets. Huh? Anyways, extremely strange. Do you think these are the same guys? I don't know, man. I don't know. Something odd is going on here. Oh, and then they just happen to find his cowboy hat, you know. See that cowboy hat he's wearing? This is his last known photograph before the major search. They just happen to find it. That's where they found it. They just found it. Just the key piece of evidence just sitting there, right? It's like the passports, the guys who, you know, flew on 9/11. They just the passports were just sitting there immaculately on the sidewalk. Like, what exactly is this? I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's not. It seems creepy to me, and it seems all, like, insane. And nobody's explained to me a motive. The guy has 5 kids. Nobody explained to me a motive. They picked up his wife. Here's the most glaring thing. They pick up his wife. She had withdrawn $50,000 on Saturday morning from a bank account. She drives 2 hours. She has a car full of firearms and ammunition and passports. The police stop her with all this stuff. Let her go. I beg your pardon? What? Please, I'm a very law and order person. Like, detain her indefinitely until you can get an answer. Why did this guy snap? Why did he leave all of his kids? Was he a Democrat? Are you a Democrat? Like, what could possibly be the political motivation of this? You worked for Tim Walz. His wife worked for Tim Walz. We have the evidence there. I'd like to put it up on screen just so everyone can see it. Your husband was appointed by Tim Walz. Why does your husband just like snap? Could your husband have avoided and evaded police and a hail of gunfire and nimbly snuck out the back? Why is there a bunch of No Kings flyers in the back of his car? Don't make no sense. What's your relation and connection to Governor Tim Walz? Why would you target Democrats, but like extremely moderate Democrats who just sided with Republicans? That don't make no sense to us. It's very strange. It's very strange, guys. The police refuse to release the manifesto of the individual. Always a problem. I am not saying I know more than law enforcement. I'm saying it's strange. Like, listen, you can't look at all the available evidence and say this points to some kind of coherent directionality for what's happening here. And I live inside of a world of enlightenment, all right? And enlightenment is that your federal government lies to you and that your federal government stages ops. Okay? This isn't my opinion. This is proven true on January 6th, proven true with the January 6th pipe bomber, proven true with the Gretchen Whitmer Fed napping, with the Donald Trump trials, with the raid of Donald Trump's house. It's staged. Remember, look at the No Kings flyers. Look at this. Here's the No Kings flyers. You know what this reminds me of? The No Kings flyers reminds me of, remember when they threw all the flyers in the back of the car, please? They reminds me of when they threw all of the classified evidence onto the ground at Trump's Mar-a-Lago. Remember that? Remember how they threw all the classified evidence on the ground? Like, it wasn't real then. It's not real now. So something's up, man. I hope we get to the bottom of it. Something's freaking up. The police will not release his manifesto. Always the sign of something being hidden here, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the officer saying, no, it's not going to happen.
I'm going to give Ellen, we're going to give it to Ellen, and then we're going to have one more question.
Can you talk a little bit more about the manifesto and what kind of motivation it might be? We're told that there might be some pro-choice lawmakers on this manifesto, and that has anything to do with the motivations here?
At this point in time, it would be premature. The question was, is the manifesto and the information that we have received, is their motivations? We are working diligently on that. There's certainly some indications within that, but there's not specifics enough. We have been, this is a very active and fluid investigation. Throughout the day, as you've been waiting, and these teams have been out working out in the field, and they have been gathering more documents and information, so it would be premature for me at this point to really say exactly what the motivation might be from these writings, but we will be continuing to work on that and provide that information when we're able.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So they're not going to release the manifesto. They say he was acting alone, that he was a lone wolf, that he had no help and no assistance. Where have we heard this before? Why does this always happen? Matthew Thomas Crooks, lone wolf. Lee Harvey Oswald, lone wolf. It's always a lone wolf, right? There's always the RFK Jr., killing of MLK, lone wolf, lone wolf. There's nothing going on. No, don't ask about those phones. Don't ask who he was talking to. I'm going to want the same thing. And I'm going to be perfectly frank with you. I am not here to do anything other than my obligation as an American and as someone with a platform to ask questions. It's empirical. The point of news reporting is to ask questions and not mind-numbingly just listen to propaganda. Because they're trying to propagandize this with zero evidence. They're out here saying this guy was MAGA. This guy's a big Trump supporter. Well, where's the evidence exactly? You know, I can show you Ryan Ralph, who was camping out to kill Donald Trump on his golf course. I can show you his bumper sticker. His bumper sticker says Biden-Harris. I can show you his political donations and votes in the Democrat primaries. So that's how I know that that's Democrat violence, obviously. I can show you Matthew Thomas Crooks donating to Joe Biden on the day of Joe Biden's inauguration. I can show you his search history. Far leftist. Matthew Thomas Crooks, leftist. Okay, leftist and Democrat. But they're out here, like, people are out here running with this whole, like, he's MAGA. He's got no King's flyers in the back of his car. He worked for Tim Walz. His wife worked for Tim Walz. He worked for a for an NGO. Republicans don't work for NGOs. To relocate African aliens to Minnesota. Sorry, that doesn't lock up for me. That doesn't make any sense to me. No. But he acted alone. Well, here we go again. Here's the police statement.
We're on that list.
Are you concerned that there's other people out there that could have been working with them?
The question is, are we concerned there's other people out there that could be working with them? We will fully explore that. I've said on this, we are relatively confident. We are confident that the violence that he committed and the murders he committed and the attempted murders, that he conducted that activity alone. We will be exploring if there are any broader network. We have not uncovered any of that at this time, but that will be part of our investigation, and we will fully explore that. So thank you.
Thank you. We can go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Here's the footage. Here's the only footage that we have of the guy limping. Look at him. Limping, barely able to move, going in and smashing up a vehicle. None of it makes sense. The point here is don't fall for another false flag. Like, don't fall for another op. All right? And immediately seeing this rush to judgment. As always, this is Donald Trump's fault. And I'm saying that all the evidence points the opposite direction, and we need to ask for more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of asking for more, if you've wanted more Trump in your cellular devices, well, Trump Mobile launched today from Trump Tower, that sweet golden escalator right behind them. Don and Eric got up and said, no, we are going to be building cell phones here in America, St. Louis of all places. Here's Don Jr.'s statement at this launch. Let's go.
Great to have everyone back here on Trump Tower on this very fateful day, 10 years later. A lot has happened since then, and we're here to announce something pretty special. We've been working for a long time trying to deliver for the American people, for doing something unique for people who'd been underserved. And today we're here to introduce Trump Mobile. We've partnered with some of the greatest people in the industry to make sure that real Americans can get true value from their mobile carriers. A big part of what we've done right now in the world has been focused on technology for people who have been underserved, whether that's been in crypto or anything else. But one of the places where we felt there was lackluster performance was in the mobile industry. And so with Trump Mobile, we're going to be introducing an entire package of products that people can come, they can get telemedicine on their phone for one flat monthly fee, roadside assistance in their cars, unlimited texting to 100 countries around the world, and we've partnered with some of the best to really bring something unique to the American people. So,
can't build here in America anymore. No one can build anything in America. Look at this freaking sweet golden phone. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now, the golden boy, Eric Trump, live from Trump Tower. He's, of course, the CEO of the Donald Trump Organization. Fresh off of this announcement, let's go to Eric. Good morning, an exciting morning at Trump Tower once again, and happy 10-year anniversary, Eric, of the golden escalator moment.
Yeah, now we have golden phones, Benny. Now we have golden phones, and for the people who want to be a little bit less subtle, we've got great American flag phones. So now we're doing great. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years. It feels like it's flown by.
Can you I want to jump into the mobile devices, but quickly, since this is the 10-year anniversary,
yeah.
what was happening before your father went down that escalator? Can you give us any background on the story?
So I'm in Trump Tower right now. My father's office is about 10 feet above my head, right? Literally, this exact spot right above me is where my father's chair still sits. And About 3 days before he called us into his office, he goes, "Kids, I'm going to do this. Let's do it together," right? Everything we had ever done, Benny, you know this. You've known me for years, but we'd always done things together, whether it be real estate, The Apprentice, every venture we had ever done. And we knew we weren't going to have anybody on our side. We knew we were going to get attacked viciously. And he goes, "Kids, let's do this." And, it was really Don and I and a few others who were, just about the only ones that were standing on that stage next to him. We had no fans. We had no senators. We had no congressmen. We had no one who believed. We certainly didn't have the media. And he goes, "But kids, we're going to get hit harder than we've ever gotten hit in our lives. And we're going to find out who our true friends are." And we did awfully quickly. I mean, nothing's more true. And he comes down that escalator and gives a beautiful speech, but also a very tough speech, and a speech that was very needed at the time, which is, we're going to start protecting this country. We're going to start putting this country first. We're going to get rid of the bad guys out of this country. We're not going to allow, our country to be overwhelmed by murderers and a lot of other people. And, it was tough. And I'm not sure if kind of the political ecosystem has ever heard that verbiage before. And America adored it, and America appreciated it. And America appreciated the fact that they finally had somebody who would go out there and actually speak their mind and wasn't full of you-know-what, and would actually execute upon what he said. And America began to adore the man, and he created the greatest political revolution in American history. And here we are after they tried to impeach him twice. They weaponized government against him. I became the most subpoenaed person in American history. They went after Supreme Court justices. They tried to take him off the ballots in states, Maine, Colorado, just to name a few. They did the dirty dossiers. They did the Russia hoax. They weaponized all of the DOJ, all of the FBI. They raided his homes, right? Then they went after him in New York, and they went after him in Atlanta, and they went after him by every far-left AG and DA in our nation. They made his life hell. And then they tried to kill him, Benny. I mean, they tried to kill him in Butler. They tried to kill him outside his golf course in Palm Beach, Florida. They did everything they could to take the man out, and he kept on standing up saying, "Fight, fight, fight." And so, listen, you look back 10 years later, it's emotional, right? Part of the journey has been so beautiful, right? And part of that journey you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. But at the same time, kind of the nastiness of the journey has in a certain way, at the end, having won again, having won every single swing state and doing so decisively, winning the popular vote, the nastiness made it all honestly worth it. And you look back at the journey and you just shake your head and you say, listen, in the craziest Tom Clancy novel, you couldn't have written this story. And if you did, they would have stopped reading it because they wouldn't have believed it. And here we sit today with the greatest president in American history back in the Oval Office. And love the man. Couldn't be more proud of the man. A miraculous human being. Benny, you gave that same job to every billionaire in the country. They all would have failed. They all would have quivered. They all would have retreated. They all would have, ran away and hid. The guy never did, and I love him for death for it. He's a remarkable human being.
I was hoping to get to this, but since you brought it up, I just have to jump really quickly to the No Kings protests here. Of course, you have a political assassin that was just apprehended in Minnesota that had No Kings flyers in the back of his car. You've seen the violence in LA. They have this logo, which is putting almost like a target on your father's head. It's like an X through your father's head. After all of that, after everything that you just detailed, the multiple assassinations and the actual scope trained on your father's head, who took a bullet to the head for this country, the only president in my lifetime or yours that would ever do that and did do that. What will they stop at? I mean, this seems patently evil. It seems like they're once again calling for violence, and they are violent.
I mean, you had the FBI director, the former FBI director, Benny, who literally said 8647, right? Kill 47, and he just miraculously found this while walking along the beach, written in shells. I mean, the wave patterns, the H2O patterns of, right, and sand movements just happened to arrange shells that said kill the 47th president of the United States. This came from the ex-FBI director, right? This is the crap that we're dealing with, right? And it's I went to the military parade, and I've never been so kind of honored to sit behind my father at that parade, and it was beautiful. People were singing the national anthem. They were, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And by the way, you had hundreds of thousands of people celebrating the birthday of the greatest army ever created on the face of this earth. Not a problem, not a insulting word, not a curse word used, no fights, no anything. And then you flip to the other side of the country, go to LA, where you look at an overpass where these, mongoloids are throwing, cinder blocks at cops and cop cars and ravaging them. I mean, there's a fleet of cop cars that were absolutely destroyed. They're totaled. They will never be used again because people decide to throw bricks, and rocks and other heavy objects at them. They try and take the lives of law enforcement. They burn cars. They destroy cities. They all use it as an excuse to loot, and rob homes and rob stores and everything else. It's total chaos. Listen, you're showing the great clips on the screen right now, right? You didn't have any of this in Washington, D.C. Have you ever had any of that at any of the Trump rallies? And honestly, Benny, the American people are really, really smart, and they get it. And it's driving the center, right? And it's even driving rational, Democrats farther and farther right because they don't want to put up with this crap. They don't want to put up with that Molotov cocktail that just got thrown off the bridge right there. They don't want to put up with the graffiti. That's their taxpayer dollars being burned that you're looking at right now. And it's really interesting. The one thing that Republicans don't do is wear masks. And isn't it really amazing that every single one of those people is wearing a mask? It's disgusting, when they're flying flags of foreign nations while standing around, American taxpayer paid for cop cars that are really, really expensive, laughing at them while they burn. You better believe they're putting a lot of people in the Republican Party right now.
Yeah, I do wonder, at some point, you have to ask, do they just hate America? Because Hillary Clinton came after you. So Hillary Clinton came directly for you and your father, and she posted actually photos of the parade this weekend, saying that this
Benny,
is
do they hate America?
Well,
I
want to get you to respond to Hillary
rocks
here.
At cops.
So Hillary says, compare and contrast the scenes yesterday in America. Okay, on one hand, you have Trump's low energy Dear Leader parade. And then on the other, you have millions of people gathering peacefully. Except for there was a serial killer who was committing political assassinations with no King's flyers in the back of his car, but, we're just going to ignore that. I'd like to get you to respond to Hillary Clinton here.
But by the way, the parade was anything but low energy. It was absolutely one of the most beautiful signs of patriotism I think our country's ever seen. I was honored to be there, and the meaning that it had for the United States military. When I'm getting texts from everybody I know saying, my kids were watching that parade and now they want to serve our great country, that's an absolutely beautiful thing. And by the way, if you want to talk about low energy, and talk about Hillary Clinton, a person who was planning her convention at the Javits Center in New York with tens and tens of thousands of balloons falling out of the sky, as opposed to campaigning in Pennsylvania. You want to talk about low energy, I'll give you low energy, right? The people who weren't low energy were the people who wore out about 400 pairs of shoes running through every swing state in the country, and then did it again in 2020 and 2024. I wouldn't exactly say that, Hillary should be talking, to anybody in our family about, energy or charisma or anything else. But, she should be looking at the cop cars that are burning, and she should be condemning that, not a beautiful parade commemorating the hundreds of thousands of servicemen over the years that have fallen in defense of our great nation, starting 250 years ago and going all the way through, today, having won, virtually every battle, have kept every evil out of this country. How a politician can't get behind that, Benny, is it's just unfathomable to me.
I just don't think she's ever gotten over it, Eric. I think she'll hold that bitterness and her box of Chardonnay forever and ever and go on walks in the woods. Yeah. And it's just it's really hideous and ugly. But she was running for commander-in-chief, and here she is bashing the U.S. Army on this birthday, which is all this was about.
Go figure. And supporting people who are burning cop cars that are paid for by U.S. taxpayers. And by the way, a state that already has serious problems, which is the state of California, where their budget deficits are through the roof. The last thing that they need to do is go out and buy new cop cars because perfectly good ones were destroyed by a bunch of anarchists. That's the last thing California needs.
So, Eric, I'm so sorry that we've sort of veered onto a number of different news topics here, but I did want to give you an opportunity to explain that you can build things here in America with Trump Mobile. Yeah. Please.
Well, we can and we will. So we launched Trump Mobile. And Benny, this all started when they deplatformed my father, right? And we had to build Truth Social, right? To combat the fact that they were taking away his freedom of speech. Then all of a sudden, for our company, they start coming after our bank accounts. They were trying to cancel us. They pulled every account from us. And so we really got into the crypto space, World Liberty Financial and others, because we wanted to combat that. We believed in DeFi. We wanted to give people financial freedom back. We're doing the same thing with Trump Mobile right now. I'm incredibly excited. You can build these phones in the United States. our customer service is in the United States. It's in St. Louis, Missouri. We can add more functionality. We can do it cheaper. We can do it better. And eventually all the phones can be built in the United States of America. We have to bring manufacturing back here. And so our ethos is, build for Americans, by Americans, do it cheaper, do it better. Monthly plans, $47 a month, which we kind of thought was fun and cool. Unlimited calling, unlimited text, over 100 countries around the world. And when you actually pick up the phone, if you need to transfer a SIM card, if you need to do something, you speak to somebody in St. Louis, you speak to somebody in the United States of America, not in Bangladesh, where they're going to take your information, sell it to a third party who will likely hack you. You're speaking to somebody in the United States of America. And our commemorative phone right there, as you see, the T1 Gold, a tribute to that Escalator ride, a tribute to clearly a color that's probably become synonymous with our family. We could not be more excited. So you can go on. I mean, literally right now, if you go to Trump Mobile, you can get TrumpMobile.com. You can get an eSIM card. You can convert your phone over, $47 a month, and work with all the biggest wireless providers in this country. No difference in terms of service whatsoever. In fact, better. And we couldn't be more proud.
Amazing. Do you, any idea, and it's just a personal question, any idea if Elon Musk is going to be using one of these?
Yeah, well, I hope he is. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of everything that he's accomplished. He's he's a remarkable American. I really I hope he uses one, and I hope every Republican uses one, and I hope, frankly, every American uses one. I think it's a message that we can all get behind, and I think we're going to build something that's really great. And so many other services, Benny, that have been totally ignored. Healthcare services, telemedicine, that's going to be added to the features of the phone. Roadside assistance, which will be added. So many things that frankly that the cell phone companies just have not done well. And again, all for $47 a month, right? I mean, look at your cell phone plan now. Chances are you're getting ripped off, probably like I was as well, because your cell phone plan goes up 10% a year every year, and there's fine little print, and you don't pay attention to it, and it gets out of control over the course of 4 or 5 years. Or $47 a month, and we're very proud of that number.
Amazing. Godspeed, Eric. There's so much more to talk about. I hope that you're back very, very soon. And congratulations. What a day. What a weekend. It was inspiring. Our team was there. It was awesome. Let the haters hate. Their hate is truly hideous and ugly.
It is ugly. It is ugly.
Yeah,
so.
Just like Hillary Clinton. She says low energy, but she was having to be thrown into the back of a van like during the presidential race. I don't.
Yeah,
that's going to be a tough attack.
When she collapsed, and then the mainstream media hid it from the entire world, right? And,
we never got that story, Eric. No one ever explained that. You see,
in the Scooby van. Remember, there was a Scooby van. It was a modified Secret Service van that literally had, recliners in there. It's rather remarkable, Benny. But that's for a different subject. I mean, here's the good news: the Clinton dynasty is forever extinguished. And I think has been replaced in a major way, and I couldn't be more proud of that. And I think you have somebody who really cares about our country, puts our country first, and is going to be on the right side of history. So we love you, buddy. Thank you for being in the fight. Thank you for all you do. We love your viewers as well, and you're a great man.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 million Americans follow Eric Trump on X. You should be one, and get your Trump phone and follow him on that Trump phone, right? I'm sure X is going to be one of the first apps that I will download on mine. Godspeed, Eric.
Thanks, my friend.
Always such an honor. What a family. What a family. A great American family. A family that deeply understands their business, and their business started, of course, in real estate, and understanding the power of real estate, and understanding the power of the American economy and the betting on America. When President Trump was building his greatest buildings, man, there was nobody buying in downtown Manhattan. Bet on America. Really exciting, ladies and gentlemen. My producers are telling me that Donald Trump Jr. will also be joining the program, and that he's on his way. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about betting on the future of America and property and financing. American Financing, a friend of our show, wants to help you get in and out of debt. Ladies and gentlemen, debt is a crippling problem in this country. There is skyrocketing credit card debt throughout the nation. I want to make sure that you are up and out of it, and that most importantly, you are here to seize the golden era. Maybe a golden Trump phone, I'm not sure. Ladies and gentlemen, should you call American Financing to refinance and pay off your credit card debt? The answer is yes. 25% interest rates are criminal, and frankly, it's math that nobody wants to face. The people who are calling American Financing today are able to get their minimum payments done and get up and out of debt using their home's equity. They're saving their average customers $800 per month using the equity in their home to finally break free of credit card debt. Call American Financing today. No pressure, no upfront fees. It costs you nothing to find out how much you can save. Call American Financing today at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. Ladies and gentlemen, as we wait to get locked in with Don Jr., something that I did want to talk with him about is this beautiful Army parade. Trump calls U.S. Army the greatest, fiercest, and bravest fighting force ever as 100 tanks rumble through parade route. Beautiful, just an absolutely beautiful scenery this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump also speaking at the parade. But we have just show me those tanks, man. Show me those tanks, man. Show me those suckers rolling through. This is a thing. Look at that. Look at that. No. It's clip B. Oh, this is clip B? Oh, okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. That's the scene. Look at that. Freaking awesome. And then they fire the cannons. Wait, they fire the cannons! You've never seen a president come out to cannons before. Look at that. Come on. Proud to be an American? This is awesome. What an incredible moment in American history, and what a proud time to experience a revitalization in the American spirit, which is exactly what's happening right now. People are building here in America. People are creating great things. And somebody who just announced a new great thing that has been created is Don Jr., who is live with us right now. Let's go. And welcome back to the show. An exciting morning. A brand new Trump device made here in the United States of America. St. Louis. Why did you pick St. Louis, Don?
Well, listen, we're going to be having call centers for Trump Mobile in St. Louis, so we're keeping our data onshore. We're going to be manufacturing the phones. Again, you can keep your existing phone, obviously, if you want to, but if you want, American hardware built by Americans here in America without the potential, let's call it, backdoor into the hardware that some of our adversaries may have installed in there. It's really about everything we're doing, Benny. You know that, it's America first, making sure our things are as secure as they can, create value for people in America, create jobs for Americans. We're just excited about it.
It's a beautiful thing. I want the gold version. You have to have the gold. I mean, it's like, listen, you get your Trump sneakers.
Yeah, should there be another version even? I mean, it's just gold, right?
It's a beautiful gold brick. They said it couldn't be done. Was this extremely difficult, Don, to set this up?
It's always hard, but so are so many of the other things that we do. We've talked about this a lot, Benny. I've been fighting sort of for this parallel economy forever. We did it with True Social when we got thrown off of and deplatformed off of the social media platforms. We didn't just go crawl in a corner and suck our thumb crying for mommy. We fought back and we built something new. We innovated. When the banking world started deplatforming us, debanking us, closing our accounts all over the place, we got into crypto with World Liberty Financial and USD1, creating an alternative form to the conventional financial systems to really democratize finance. I mean, that's a huge part of what we're doing right now. And so, we're business guys, we're innovators, and we're always going to do what's right, trying to create value for the American public. The banking one and the crypto side is sort of interesting because for decades, there wasn't a person I couldn't call in one of these buildings behind me in New York City that wouldn't take the call, give us a loan in about 2 minutes. And it was once we got political that you realized just how quickly those things went away. And you realized, wait a minute, if we have a hard time getting this stuff, what's the average American? What kind of hard time is he getting? And so we got into a space, not because we knew anything about the business, but because we literally had no other choice. And so we're quick studies, we're good entrepreneurs, we're good businessmen, and there's a lot of exciting stuff going on.
So there was a lot of exciting stuff going on this weekend. I just want to pop over because you were sitting there right beside your father at this epic military parade and a celebration of the United States Army, which is what this all was. It was also Flag Day and your father's birthday, so like sometimes the stars align. But there were haters, man. There's a lot of haters that are out here, and Hillary Clinton is one of them. Old and bitter and vicious, and through a box of Chardonnay, she posted that this celebration of the United States Army is something that's low energy and a dear leader parade, and it cost $45 million. I want to, and she said that the peaceful protests, the No Kings rallies that were burning down multiple American cities and also seemingly had a connection to political assassinations in Minnesota, that those were peaceful. So I just want to give you an opportunity to respond to Hillary here.
Well, I think it's ridiculous. The whole No Kings thing is about as laughable as it gets. It's like, wow, they were successful. Look, guys, there's no kings, Benny. Frankly, there are no kings in America thanks to the United States Army, which we were celebrating the 250th anniversary of, on Saturday. That's exactly why we have no kings. So it seemed like a little bit of a ridiculous protest, especially coming from a party who seems to anoint their leaders. They don't run them through a process. They don't do anything. I mean, Hillary, I guess, wanted to be anointed again. She certainly wanted to be the queen. The people saw how that worked out the first time for her. They realized that she's the least likable person, not just in American politics, but perhaps in the world. And, didn't anoint her. So I guess that made her a little bit upset. But they did anoint Kamala Harris without going through a democratic process. So, like all things, Benny, the left is really good at sort of projecting. They accuse the other side of doing all of the things that they're doing. So, yeah, we have no kings in America. We still don't have any kings in America. We haven't had any kings in America for 250 years. And again, that was thanks to the United States Army, which we celebrated. And if you were there, and I was, on Saturday, you saw this was not something for my father. My father didn't do this. There was a great historical component there, going through the history of the weaponry and the uniforms. I think it was an incredible tribute to the United States Army, to all those people who served so bravely for our country, not just currently, but over the last few centuries. And it was a big deal, and it ended in this incredible fireworks display. But really, what I thought was awesome, it ended in sort of the swearing in of this new class of cadets by the President of the United States on Flag Day, on the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. I thought it was just absolutely amazing.
So the reason that I think Donald Trump is so beloved, in part by the American military and by law enforcement, is that they are willing to take a bullet for us. And now you finally have a president that did indeed take a bullet for this country. And through the hand of God and an act of God, he survived. Yet, even in the No Kings logo, you can see that they're putting an X, like a bullseye, on your father's head. They're still calling for acts of violence. We were at one of these protests this weekend, Don, and they were like straight up, it was like straight up calls to murder the president everywhere. James Comey, putting his little shells together in his, Borat bikini on the beach. What are these people going to stop at? Are you satisfied with some of the investigations that have been happening into Comey, into the shooter of Matthew Thomas Crooks?
Well, listen, I want to see where these things go, but, all of the violence that's been perpetrated by the left, and make no mistake, the left is by far the most violent faction, in American politics. I mean, when you look at what they did, the 2020 Summer of Love, all violence, murder, mayhem, looting, arson, but, it was mostly peaceful protests. When you watch what's going on in LA and some of these other cities, they're mostly peaceful. It's like, none of that looks peaceful to me. They're not mostly peaceful. Okay, yeah, I'm sure there's some people that are peaceful, but there's a lot of people committing violent acts. They're perpetrating them. In leftist states and in blue states, they don't want to enforce them because they understand that's their voter base. So rather than follow the law, no different than on immigration, rather than follow the law, they rather let them get away with it, so they vote for more Democrats again. It's absolutely disgusting. So, there's a lot that has to be done. I have a lot of confidence in the guys, at DOJ and at the FBI and my father's administration, that are going to do these things and get to the bottom of this. And I think, once a couple of these people actually get treated like we would if we were doing these things as conservatives, once they actually face equal justice under the law and are held accountable for their disgusting and despicable actions, I think some of this stuff can actually stop. But because the left has been so coddled, and leftist leaders, whether it's Gavin Newsom or others, Tim Walz, Gretchen Whitmer, you name the clown brigade of the Democrat Party, they're so afraid to actually hold these people accountable because they understand that's the true feeling of their constituents. They are violent, just like the radical transgender movement is per capita the most violent, domestic terror threat. If not in America, probably the entire world per capita, because you have all these shooters and murderers or attempted murderers, in such a tiny population of a country, and yet they can't. They're beyond reproach, Benny. If this was any other group, you see it. You saw it the other day with the despicable shootings in Minnesota. They're sitting there. Oh, please be a MAGA guy. Please be a MAGA guy. Oh, it happens to be a Tim Walz appointee in his own state. He happened to go after a Democrat legislator. But it seems like he went after a Democratic legislator because she voted against Democrat Party policy, which was the unabashed, unlimited health care funding for illegal immigrants. She actually had a common sense approach, which is to say, hey, let's give American taxpayer dollars to Americans, not to illegals. Let's not bankrupt our health care system, bankrupt our coffers. I understand that's incredibly popular with the Democrat Party. They have to give these things to illegals because no one else is voting for them anymore. So they want to stack these cities. They want to stack these voter rolls. They want to influence the census so they get more votes, and they can push their asinine policies that have failed America. But, the amount of rhetoric saying that this is going to be a MAGA guy, he's literally a Tim Walz appointee in Minnesota. I have a feeling that leftist Tim Walz isn't exactly appointing conservatives. Apparently he had the No Kings flyer in his thing, but he went after someone that didn't just blindly follow Democrat radical leftist dogma and actually voted in something that makes sense for the people who are footing the bill of these policies and these plans. So it's scary stuff, but it seems to all be coming from the left.
The left violence is baked into their bones, whether it's the congressional shooting or it's the shooting of your father. I know that we're short on time here, Don. I just want to get very quickly to this, since it is something that's quite alarming. And Bibi Netanyahu's on TV saying, like, hey, the Iran's trying to kill the president of the United States right now. Have you received any briefing about, like, what happened in these attempts to kill your father? Ryan Ralph, Matthew Thomas Crooks, like, are these still massive black boxes? Do we know anything more?
Yeah, I'm sure he's received more. As of when my father took the oath of office, I'm out of that stuff right now. I worked hard on the transition, making sure that he had a team of people that'll fight alongside him, not against him, or not doing the bidding of sort of the Uni Party or the Swamp or whoever the likely next candidate was going to be. So, it's great to see him have a team of people that align. But, I don't know. I'm obviously, quite a skeptic as to how, a sniper gets on a roof within 100 yards of the presumptive nominee of a party. Unwatched, I think that's disgusting. I don't believe in that kind of coincidence when you've been through the amount of crap that I've been through over the last few years, with the nonsense when you, are the son of the guy that they tried to kill twice. I don't believe in coincidence or little errors, especially not when they add up that bad. So, but I do have faith in, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and the DOJ to eventually get to the bottom of these things. But, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that'll probably be there trying to stall them. There's a lot of things that'll be hidden. You see this discoveries that they're making every week about, here's a room of information that no one other than the radical left is inside the FBI. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it's hard to believe we're living in America. I feel like we're like a South Park version of ourselves when you see what's going on for the last few years. So I think you have a great team of people that are trying to get to the bottom of these things, but none of this stuff happens overnight. And again, when you've been in my shoes, when you've had to do congressional testimony for when they want to throw you in jail for the rest of your life, as they did with me, or when they tried to kill your father, trust me, no one has as much of a sort of an axe to grind as I do, but I do also understand that there's a process they have to go through to get to the bottom of it, to make sure that whatever they do discover, can be prosecuted and can stick, that they didn't, sort of break, that the way to do these things and give these people an out. But I hope if you're committing crimes in America that everyone is prosecuted, appropriately. And, God knows the left has been doing some shady stuff for far too long. So let's get to the bottom of all of it.
That's right. And the soon-to-be Tom Homan arrest of Gavin Newsom. Okay, we're crossing our fingers here. We're waiting to go live for that one.
Hey, Benny, no one is above the law. I've heard that one for. No one's above the law unless you're a leftist, right? Like that's basically the plan. No one's above the law unless you're a leftist. But in this country, no one is above the law, and we ought to make sure that we actually enforce that law equally.
Ladies and gentlemen, take out your Trump phones, hopefully the gold version, and follow Don Jr. Here's 15 million followers right here on X alone, but also on Rumble. He has an exclusive show there, Truth Social, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Don Jr.
Great to be with you,
Godspeed,
Benny.
Don. Godspeed.
Have a good one, bud.
Just clean. We're like talking. Klein and I are talking. We're like, hey, just clean. It's clean. It's clean. Just rock and roll. Rocking and rolling this morning. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we had a cool, we did a whole read on it and everything like that. I'd encourage you to go check it out on the channel. It was a 6-hour event with the birthday for the United States military and Army. ALX was front row. We didn't book ALX on the show. Alex often tells me not to bring him on the show, like randomly. So I guess we're gonna let Alex decide. But he was front row, and he had some awesome footage. They were there, and it was an incredible event. Iran was behind 2 assassination attempts on the president. I guess this sort of like dovetails into what Eric and Don were talking about. Well, let's get into it. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu claims in bombshell interview. Netanyahu on Trump assassinations, saying that Iran was funding them. Now, okay, Israel is technically like at war with Iran right now. They're bombing each other to smithereens. It is bad. We openly and regularly explain what we believe in these style of conflicts, which is that 77 million people voted for America First. America First means putting Marines on the ground in the sand of Los Angeles to protect my country. That's why I fund the Marines. That's why I pay my taxes. I want American troops defending America and our borders and our interests. I do not need them defending the interests or borders of countries thousands of miles away. Okay, so that's my take. Now, whether that's Gaza or Iran or Ukraine or Somalia or wherever, right? That's our hard line. This is what we like firmly believe. And it's what America believes, in fact. And this is why we voted for that. We voted. It was the popular vote said mass deportations and ruthlessly putting down foreign insurrections in our country, which is what the president has done. I believe in nations' rights to defend themselves. I also believe that there are things that are fundamentally none of our business, that we don't have to be the world's police. So I'm not trying to piss anyone off. I know there are very strong opinions on both sides of this thing. I'm not trying to piss anyone off, nor do I run a foreign policy show. I'm not going to sit here and nor am I going to sit here and say, oh, I'm this foreign policy genius. I went to this elite school. I went to Harvard. No, I didn't. I went to community college. And that taught, where I went to school, the biggest thing was tractor mechanics. That was the big program. In Kirkwood Community College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, was being a tractor mechanic. That's what you go there for, okay? That's where I come from. That's why I'm knit together. So I'm going to sit here and sneer and try to rattle off a bunch of fancy names and tell you I'm way smarter than Iran, Israel, or all the people doing foreign policy. I'm not. I just have it baked into my bones that these wars cost us our greatest treasure, which are our young men and women. They also cost us the treasure of our national stability by getting us trillions of dollars in debt. You can see the national debt go whoop like that when George Bush absolutely bungled, fumbled, and lied us into wars in the Mideast. So I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. So I want peace, and more importantly, I don't want innocent people to die, no matter where they live. I think that's the Christian thing, in fact. Blessed are the peacemakers, they say. The scriptures, not they say. The scriptures say, Christ says. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Netanyahu saying that Iran was behind Trump's assassinations. Now, is this just Netanyahu trying to bring MAGA over to his side and to bring America into this conflict? I'm not sure, but here it is.
And by the way, our intel shows that they intend to give these nuclear weapons to their Houthi proxies and others. And that's nuclear terrorism on a global scale. It threatens everyone. And the last thing is they have plans to develop intercontinental ballistic missiles. Right now, 8,000 kilometers, very soon, just out a little distance, and they can reach the eastern seaboard of the United States. These people who chant death to America, Tried to assassinate President Trump twice, killed 241 of your Marines in Beirut, killed and injured thousands of American soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq, tried to bomb a restaurant in Washington, D.C., chant death to America, burn the American flag. Do you want these people to have nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to your cities? Of course not.
Yeah.
So we're defending ourselves, but we're also defending the world.
I want to talk about the nuclear threat, and I want to talk about President Trump. You just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one. He's a decisive leader. He never took the path that others took to try to bargain with him in a way that is weak, giving them basically a pathway to enrich uranium, which means a pathway to the bomb, padding it with billions and billions of dollars. He took up this fake agreement and basically tore it up. He killed Qasem Soleimani. He made it very clear, including now, you cannot have a nuclear weapon, which means you cannot enrich. He's been very forceful. So for them, he's enemy number one.
Yeah.
Look, they also tried to kill me, but I'm his junior partner.
When did
they
you
understand that President Trump is a great threat to Iran's plans to weaponize nuclear weapons and use them.
When did you tell President Trump you were going to launch these strikes?
Look, I've been in constant contact with President Trump. We've known each other for many years. And obviously, we informed our American friends and President Trump, our great friend, ahead of time. We did. He knew about it, of course.
I mean, there were reports that President Trump kind of helped you achieve your strategic surprise by publicly urging you not to attack when he already knew you had decided to do it. So you were closely coordinating with the U.S. throughout this process.
Look, we're fully coordinated, but understand that America, under President Trump, will make the decisions that are best for America. And that's the way it is. He understands that I, as the Prime Minister of Israel, the one and only Jewish state, must make the decisions that are important for the survival of my country, and he will do what is best for America.
Well, you know, that final bit's a good answer. And then he says, yeah, totally, Iran launched assassination attempts on Donald Trump. I mean, listen, whatever you think of that, you can go see some of the social media that they put up. Iran has put up assassination porn on Donald Trump. Iran put up creepily this video of Donald Trump getting killed at his golf course while golfing from the weeds. So from the reeds and the hedges, there's a gunman, which in this case is in the form of a drone, but nonetheless a gunman from the weeds of President Trump's golf course, killing President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, which is almost exactly how it went down at President Trump's golf course in Palm Beach. It's freaking crazy. Iran put this video out. There was a Trump assassination plot that was allegedly foiled by the FBI from prison. An Iranian insurgent from prison was running an op here in America. We've covered those details. So anyway, this is what they've done. I mean, it's not, it's certainly not beyond comprehension. But anyway, this is what we assume it would look like at a video game, right? So if you're playing a video game, this is almost beyond comprehension. This is real life. This is in Haifa, I believe. It's a power plant that was being bombed in real life. Let's can you zoom in on this? There you go. Yep. Great. So that's the Iron Dome shooting at these ballistic missiles. And these ballistic missiles now hitting. Boom. So the Iron Dome is failing, and these ballistic missiles are getting through. We don't want war. We don't want innocent people to die. Crazy footage. There's a lot of footage like this, and it looks straight out of a video game. So yeah, the Trump assassination footage of Donald Trump. The Iranian assassination footage of Donald Trump, that's video game style. This is not video game. This is real life. So anyway, we don't want people to get hurt. We don't want American troops to get dragged into this. These things, in the words of J.D. Vance, are fundamentally not our problem. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump predicting the future yet again. Saying yesterday that Iran and Israel will both come to the negotiating table and will now negotiate. Maybe they just had to, you take two boys out and you let them punch each other in the face a couple times, and then they hug it out, right? And they it's like sometimes it's like you just gotta get it out. Yeah, bonds that build. Okay, fine. I'm not sure. I don't know. Donald Trump locker room talk here. Let's go.
Can you give us a sense of what you're doing to try to de-escalate the situation between Iran and Israel?
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump off the top rope, exclusive breaking at time of show, 70 seconds ago. So we get to this point. 70 seconds ago, this breaks in the Wall Street Journal. Battered Iran signals it will de-escalate hostilities with Israel and negotiate. Messages passed by Tehran through intermediaries seek a return to talks as U.S. stays out of the fight. Whoa. Donald Trump, right again. Look at this. Maybe the boys just had to give each other a black eye, chip a tooth or two out back. Just had to, throw a couple haymakers. And then they, and then you bro hug it out. I don't know. Let's read. Iran has been urgently signaling that it seeks to end hostilities and a resumption of talks over its nuclear program, sending messages to Israel and the United States via the Arab intermediaries in the Middle East. In the midst of a ferocious Israeli air campaign, Tehran has told Arab officials that they will be open to return to the negotiating table as long as the U.S. doesn't join in the attack. Fascinating. Look at that, the art of the deal. Look at the art of the deal for Donald Trump. So Donald Trump keeping America out of the attack has been the massive negotiating chit. Donald Trump has said, I'm going to make your nation rich. He says, I'm going to make your country rich. Just don't get a nuclear bomb. Don't destabilize the entire region, all the global markets and everything like that. We can't have you have a nuclear bomb. That's it. You can trade with us. Iran has like 88 million people. I didn't know Iran was such a massive country. 88 million people. Israel has like 9 million. Iran is 10 times bigger than Israel. And it's a massive country. It's got a ton of, it's got so much promise, so much potential. Like freaking unlock right now. It didn't used to be an Iranian militant backwards country. Like, frankly, if you rewind the clock back to the 1970s, and before a lot of CIA meddling, maybe we should have on Mike Benz to talk through what the CIA did to Iran. Okay, maybe we should talk through that. Before a bunch of globalist meddling in Iran, it was a hell of a country. Donald Trump says, we'll make your country great again. Just don't get a nuclear bomb. That this can't be this. This is the thing we can't allow. Okay, I dig that. I'm down with that policy. All right, fine. Iran is passing along messages to Israel, saying that in the interests of both sides, it needs to keep the violence contained. But with Israeli warplanes able to fly freely over the capital of Iranian counterattacks inflicting minimal damage, Israel's leader said they have little incentive to halt their assault before doing more to destroy Iranian nuclear sites and further weaken the theocracy's government's hold on power. Israeli strikes have killed key military leaders, pardon me, including much of the top echelon of Iran's air force, leaving Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini increasingly isolated. With the impact on nuclear facilities has been modest, analysis say they could take a long air war to get the results Israel wants, which is the decimation of their nuclear capacity. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the attacks will continue until Iran's nuclear program and ballistic missiles are destroyed. He has shown no indications that he's ready to stop. He's also said the regime change isn't the goal, but could be a result of the bombing raids and the leadership's weakness. So is this a massive W for Donald Trump? That Iran is saying hey, we'll now negotiate? I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But sometimes they have to fight it out. All right. Let me show you exactly what it looks like when, exactly what you don't want. All right. What you don't want is Lindsey Graham. What you don't want is the fomenting of war. And it sickens my soul because I have a strange relation to Lindsey Graham. I took the coolest photo of Lindsey Graham ever. Hey, Alex, could you please grab it? So a long time ago, back when I was a Capitol Hill reporter, and I saw Lindsey Graham getting attacked by a bunch of rabid feminist leftists who were frothing at the mouth. This was during the Kavanaugh hearings. And I took a video of it. It was really funny. And the video went, viral. The image went viral. And it's of Lindsey Graham straightening his tie as like a bunch of libs like scream at him. And it was called Based Lindsey Graham back in the day. And anyway, this is the video. And there's the photo. Yep, there it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is my history with Lindsey Graham. I'm not particularly proud of it now, given the fact that he's a warmonger. But this is the image. You may recall it back during the Kavanaugh. It's many years old. It's a still from this video, ladies and gentlemen, of Lindsey Graham walking whilst the libs scream and freak out at him. Anyway, there was a time when Lindsey Graham was holding it down for Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh is down in the Supreme Court and is a damn fine appointee, voting a lot better than Amy Coney Barrett. I can tell you that for sure. She's the real problem, not Kavanaugh. Anyway, the point is that Lindsey Graham was on all the Sunday shows talking about being a war pig and begging for America to go to war. We disavow this. We disavow it. All right, and I'm upset and angry about it because this is not what America voted for. 77 million Americans voted for America First. Trump will destroy, we cannot say it in firmer terms, Trump will destroy his legacy if he gets us into more endless wars in the Middle East. We can't let it happen. I know Trump won't do it. I know he won't do it. One of the first things Trump ever said to me in the earliest days of his presidential race was no new wars. And we need to end the Bush dynasty. These are the first words he ever said to me on camera. I think that's really old footage. I don't think we have that. But he says no new wars, and we need to end the Bush dynasty, a forever war. So I don't think Trump's going to do it. But it doesn't help to have war pig Lindsey Graham pushing this. Here we go.
The worst possible outcome for the world is for the Iranian nuclear program to survive after all this. How do you destroy their program? Through diplomacy? I prefer that, or through military action. If diplomacy is not successful and we left with the option of force, I would urge President Trump to go all in to make sure that when this operation is over, there's nothing left standing in Iran regarding their nuclear program. If that means providing bombs, provide bombs. If that means
busting bombs?
Whatever bombs. If it means flying with Israel, fly with Israel. The worst possible outcome for the world is to take the Iranian nuclear program on and leave it standing. Mm-hmm. That will be a disaster.
I disavow it. Israel can fight its own battles. Fundamentally not our problem. I know that this country deserves better. We have a map of the country in our studio. It hangs right there. And it shows you that President Trump, who won every single swing state, who won the popular vote, they said it couldn't be done, and who won in a landslide that was called on midnight. We all remember it. We were live for it with you. Those people didn't vote for more forever wars. Those people voted for mass deportations. They voted for the Marines to be deployed to Los Angeles. That's what we voted for. We want foreign insurrections in this country put down. We have enough problems in this country. Why don't you work on yourself? There's a scripture from Christ where he says, get the log out of your own eye before you look at the speck in someone else's eye. So that's our take. We have so many problems. We are experiencing a foreign invasion in this country, unlike anything that's ever happened to Israel or Iran or Ukraine. There's not 20 million Russian soldiers in Ukraine. There's 20 million foreign criminal aliens in our nation. That's a proper foreign invasion. They are burning our cities to the ground. They are flying their home country's flags while they rape and pillage and try and commit murder. Some of them are successful in murders. Some of them are just attempted murders. When you see those criminal aliens in LA throwing bricks at cop cars, that's attempted murder. They're trying to kill our military. Crazy stuff. Crazy footage. So anyway, fundamentally not a problem. Check this out. This is like before we move off this topic. Look at this. Footage of an Israeli airstrike hitting Iranian state media while they're on air. Do you have the clip? All right. Well, this is just breaking. I mean, we have one more incredible piece of breaking news, but here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Gracious. All right. Holy moly. Whoa. Well, okay. I mean, I don't want that smoke. I literally want that smoke, right? I like our studio here, Klein. I don't want that to be our thing. I would not like that in our studio, you know? Hey, listen, no, thank you. No, thank you. And like the way to stay out of it is not listen to war pigs like Lindsey Graham. So please, give the American people what they voted for. No new wars, mass deportations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have some awesome breaking news for you today. Breaking news at time of show. Can we have the breaking news stinger? Let's freaking go. Speaking of mass deportations, you're going to love this. Right now, breaking across all the wires, DHS released brand new numbers. 1 million criminal aliens have self-deported since Donald Trump took office just 140 days ago. Gets the people going. Inject it into my veins. Let's read. 1 million criminal aliens have self-deported under Trump, which has led to higher wages. Oh, it's so awesome. Oh, it's so awesome. Danny, you know what this is going to call for? Producer Danny? This is going to call for some of my favorite DHS deportation videos. Get some songs in there, get some ASMR, get me a couple of those. And we'll close off the show with some of those great videos, all right? They should win awards. Let's read this article. While ICE arrests and deportations have grabbed the headlines, President Trump is also running a separate but complementary mass deportation program, one that encourages aliens here unlawfully to go home voluntarily. And if the reports are correct, the plan is more successful than anyone could have ever imagined. Based on government data, the Center for Immigration Studies has estimated that there are 15 million criminal aliens in the United States, 50% increase over the 4 tumultuous years of the Biden administration. That's no surprise, given that Biden and his Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, ignored congressional detention mandates and ushered millions of illegals here, obviously illegally. Trump rode a wave of concerns about the cost of these immigrants are imposing on schools, hospitals, housing, and essential government services in cities across the United States. Just a reminder, this is what was going on in Minnesota. Not to connect too many dots here, but it is exactly what's going on in Minnesota. You know, they voted to take away access. They voted to take away free goodies for criminal aliens. That's where a lot of the anger comes from. I'm not saying it's directly responsible, but I am saying that it's a little strange that the woman who is in charge of the state house, who's a Democrat, who voted in order to strip criminal aliens of access to free health care, that she was the first on the target list. There's no such thing as coincidences, man. They've implemented a 2-track plan to tackle this onerous task. I mean, you have to get rid of the magnets that bring criminal aliens here. You cannot have a welfare state and open borders. You shouldn't have a welfare state in the first place, but you can't. A welfare state and open borders is collapse in a single generation or faster of your nation. This was Joe Biden. You can't have it. If you got rid of the goodies, they'd all go home. This is why criminal aliens flock to blue states. This is why you have to target blue states for these deportations. Places like Illinois, Massachusetts, New York, and California, for instance. Don't deport ALX. ALX lives in Massachusetts. Don't deport him, please. Okay? I'll vouch for him. All right? Yeah. Call me first, Tom. Call me first. One of those tracks relies on arrests and deportation of aliens unlawfully here, which at the outset has focused mainly on criminals, the worse strategy. The other track is more subtle but also cheaper for the taxpayers, arguably, and more effective, encouraging illegals to just go home. It began with Donald Trump, with an Inauguration Day directive requiring DHS to ensure that aliens present in the United States, legal and otherwise, have registered with the federal government and to prosecute those who don't comply. By late February, Nome had implemented the registration. And by the way, if you're prosecuted for this and you're staying here illegally, it'll cost you $1,000 a day. It's $365,000 a year. So you're not going to make that, no matter where you work. So it's $1,000 a day fine to be here. So you're cooked. You're done. Go home. DHS next launched a multi-million-dollar ad campaign warning migrants to not enter illegally, alternatively to leave voluntarily. Now they have an opportunity to return and enjoy the freedom and live the American dream. Nome also rebranded the notorious CBP One app the Biden administration used to funnel thousands of migrants into this country. A CBP Home app aliens can use to notify the U.S. government of their intent to depart. The rebranding coincided with an offer of financial incentives for aliens who leave voluntarily, a stipend of $1,000. That's in lieu of a costly physical deportation, which can cost taxpayers $17,000 per person on average. How effective has these deportations been? Okay, let's get the meat and potatoes here. One way to track the program is by checking the employment numbers. Financial Whiz cited the Wall Street Journal calculated the decline of the immigrant population of 700,000 in the first 4 months of Trump term 2. The Washington Post claims 1 million foreign-born workers have exited the U.S. workforce. Cheers. Cheers. The Post frames this as a sign of weakening labor supply. Yet the paper also knows the average hourly wage increased, raising 0.04% over the last month. Earnings continue to beat inflation and boost the workers' spending powers. In other words, the fewer illegal immigrants, criminals, businesses had to raise wages to attract workers. Good. But aliens will only leave if they believe Trump and Homan are serious about arrests. And employers know that the feds are targeting shady businesses. The voluntary exodus shouldn't be surprising. President Dwight Eisenhower launched a deportation roundup in 1954. Nearly 10 aliens left voluntarily for each one arrested. Post 9/11 registration program also drove self-deportations. DHS can't arrest and deport 15 million criminal aliens. Well, okay, Stephen Miller's there in a dark corner of the White House stroking his chin saying, please give me a chance to prove you wrong. But anyway, the point is, if it simply enforces the law, many aliens will get the message and leave on their own. Hundreds of thousands apparently have already left. Okay. Wow. It's freaking awesome. Okay, give me some of the greatest bangers from the from these deportations. I need the greatest bangers. All right, let's start with the roundup.
Only thing that's on my mind is who's run this town and yeah, I said it.
That's great. Okay, here's the border. This is an ice party. Cartel party next door. Let's go.
Yo, VIP.
All right, cartel party next door. Let us know, and we'll bring ice. That's great. Okay. Good. All right. This is them deporting a bunch of people from an ice party. This was in Colorado, if I'm remembering it correctly. This was my favorite, probably. Let's go. Look at how beautiful the border looks when it's completely empty, right? And this one's a very interesting one. This is the ASMR one, where you can just listen to the sounds of criminal aliens being deported. Let's go. Melodic sound of criminal aliens being chained. It's the chains that get me. This is what gets you. The other day, Homeland Security posted a Spy Kids meme when it was when somebody who I didn't know that two of my top producers here, Danny and ALX, knew this account. But there's a very snarky fashion account that apparently Danny D'Urbina is obsessed with. And, which, I mean, obviously, squares. And this guy announced that he's a criminal alien. He's often making fun of J.D. Vance. He even makes fun of us. I didn't know this. But this account, that again is just a snarky fashion account, admitted that they're here illegally. And the Department of Homeland Security posted a Spy Kids meme. J.D. Vance, I believe. Can you click on the tweet here, please? There you go. And then I think one of the first responses should perhaps be J.D. Vance. There it is. Yeah. J.D. Vance posted the Departed meme of Jack Nicholson going, okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, incredible things are happening. Wild. Incredible things are happening. Yeah, the accounts menswear, dye workwear. Okay. There you go. We're banned. The account blocked us. So whatever. Anyway, we'll do a special maybe when this individual gets deported. We'll bring on Danny. Oh, not Klein. There you go. If you're into this kind of stuff, I'm not. I wear a black t-shirt all day. In fact, he criticized me. We didn't even know this. He criticized me for wearing a black t-shirt. It's all I wear. I just wear a black t-shirt. Yes, I'll wear a suit. Obviously, I'm going to wear a suit when you interview Trump or stuff like that. You're at the White House, you wear a suit. But this dude straight up like came for me because I was wearing a black t-shirt. Dude, it's like what I wear every single day. I don't know. What do you want from me? Yeah. Anyway, he announces that he's a criminal alien, and now it's like the funniest thing ever. Homeland Security posting Spy Kid memes. J.D. Vance posting Departed memes. We live in the greatest timeline. Here he is roasting me. Here we go. The modern t-shirt is way too long. So there's a reason why I wear shirts like that. I mean, I'll tell you. Here's me with Forgiato Blow and Byron Donald. You can click on the image. The reason I wear shirts like that is that like we're out in the field. We were out with the Tesla truck. You're getting in and out of cars. You're jumping on cars. You're filming effectively a rap video. And you got to be able to move, okay? You got to be able to move. You don't want your belly out over your shirt. You want to be able to move. And this is like the style of shirt that keeps you super mobile. That's all. That's it. And I don't, the crisis of the modern man. I have 4 teeny little children. I had a wonderful Father's Day. You could grab the shirt that I wore on Father's Day. It's a great shirt. It's up on my X. Yeah. There's also another shirt. Maybe he can critique this shirt, please, before his deportation. No, there's a Father's Day post though. You can see there. It's a shirt that says just a regular dad trying not to raise a bunch of communists. But I had a great Father's Day. And when you're lifting a bunch of kids, when you're picking up a bunch of kids, and like you have there's like a. You're gonna have kids like grabbing at your shirt and like pulling it up and going everywhere. Anyway, you need shirts and athletic wear. If you got little kids and you're chasing them around all day, like I don't care. Don't if you are living some type of like childless, elitist, metropolitan life, sipping your Cosmopolitans with your high-waisted goofball like high fashion pants. If you're like Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, right? Ella Amhoff. Like, you have the luxury of knowing you're a dead limb, in your family tree. Nothing's ever, like, you're not going to, like, you're never going to do any, you're not raising kids. You just don't know. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a bit of a snob on this. You just don't know. So, yes, I wear shirts like this, just a regular dad trying not to raise communists. Yes, you have to constantly be bending over and picking up your kids and running after them and keeping them from going in the street. That's like, you can't dress like this, okay? That's the point. I can't dress like that. I can't go out with my kids dressed like that. Like that, yeah. I'm not allowed, I'm not allowed to do whatever the hell this is, right? I'm not allowed to look like some type of like Batman villain, Harley Quinn, I don't even know what this is exactly. It looks like a Tim Burton, it looks like it's some type of Tim Burton claymation character, Harley Quinn, unholy, godless hybrid. At least there's no hairy armpits in this photo. She has those too. Yeah, or Justin Trudeau and his son. Yeah, that's right. Okay, Justin Trudeau and his son. All right, well, some days you just win because we're just about to roast Justin Trudeau and his pink ass shirts and his creepy like photos, and then lo and behold, here's Trump speaking in Canada. So let's freaking go. Donald Trump.
Painful for both parties, but I
This is
say
live,
Iran
right?
is
We're live.
not winning
So
this
shut up.
war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
And what would you say, in your opinion, what would it take for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict militarily?
I don't want to talk about that.
And you mentioned Putin. Do you think that he should have a seat at the G7 today, that it should be the G8?
I'm not saying he should at this point because too much water's gone over the dam, maybe. But it was a big mistake. Obama didn't want him, and the head of your country, the proud head of your country, didn't want him. This was a big mistake. You wouldn't have that war. You know, you have your enemy at the table. Even I don't even consider him. He wasn't really an enemy at that time. There was no concept. If I were president, this war would have never happened. But likewise, if he were a member of what was called the G8 at that time, it was always the G8, you wouldn't have a war right now.
Why not? What material support and what intelligence support are you providing Israel?
We've always supported Israel. We have for a long period of time, strongly. And Israel's doing very well right now.
Why not have China at the G8? Why not have
defense
China here, the
spending?
biggest economy in the world after the United States?
Well, it's not a bad idea. I don't mind that. If somebody wants to suggest China coming in, I think we suggest. But you want to have people that you can talk to. You know, they don't talk to. Putin speaks to me. He doesn't speak to anybody else. He doesn't want to talk because he was very insulted when he got thrown out of the G8. As I would be, as you would be, as anybody would be. He was very insulted. And I mean, he was thrown out by Trudeau, who convinced one or two people, along with Obama. He was thrown out, and he's not a happy person about it. I can tell you that. He basically doesn't even speak to the people that threw him out, and I agree with him. Go ahead.
On immigration, why are you ordering ICE to target Democratic inner cities? What's behind that?
I don't know what you're saying.
You did a post last night where you said you want ICE to really target Democratic.
Yeah, I want them to focus on the cities because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are. I look at New York. I look at Chicago. I mean, you got a really bad governor in Chicago and a bad mayor, but the governor's probably the worst in the country, Pritzker. But I look at how that city has been overrun by criminals, and you know, New York and L.A. Look at L.A. L.A. Those people weren't from L.A. They weren't from California. Most of those people, many of those people, and yeah, that's the focus. Biden allowed 21 million people to come into our country. Of that, vast numbers of those people were murderers, killers, people from gangs, people from jails. They emptied their jails out into the U.S. Most of those people are in the cities, all blue cities, all Democrat-run cities, and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to exercise my role, if you will, as a G7 chair, since we have a few more minutes with the president and his team, and then we actually have to start the meeting to address some of these big issues. So,
Thank
I'll mess you.
Thank you, media. Let's go.
There we go. Okay. we were just a few seconds late to that, and Trump didn't say anything of consequence up front. But yeah, thanks, production team, for locking it in. And thank you for working with us to make sure that we are always there and always sharp. You will not miss a moment here while we are live. And we will go live at any time of the day if there are any moments that we have to cover. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like our coverage, please consider following our podcast. Our podcast is available on every podcast platform that publishes. Apple and Spotify are very popular ones. You can log in and subscribe using this QR code right there on screen. Rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, the verse of the day, it is right here from Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. That's exactly, ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly right. Please understand that when you go to war and when you engage in the kind of engage in the kind of destruction that you see in the wars that have been started by America, wars that are started by other countries. They often try and tell you that they're on the side of the angels. You've heard it here before many times. It was explained to me by a man who fought in a lot of these wars. It's often just two devils fighting each other. The side of the angels is the side of peace. And that is where we stand affirmatively on this program. Ladies and gentlemen, my producers are telling me that I cannot miss my friends at Blackout Coffee. And since we are here on nearly hour 2 of the program, and we've been rolling, I haven't missed my Blackout Coffee. We've just had too much breaking news happening at one time. Ladies and gentlemen, Blackout Coffee does indeed power our show. Sometimes it powers us directly through the verse of the day, and it does every single day. The Blackout Coffee that fills my Benny Show mug is packed to the brim with the kind of caffeine that is required to keep us going and keep us going through some crazy times. Like, for instance, all of my kids have like some type of horrible exotic cough right now and are up at all hours of the night. And so Father's Day was spent comforting my children and doing my very best to make sure that they're healthy. The point is that we get no sleep. And you get no sleep, and so you hit that cup of coffee, or maybe pot of coffee, very hard in the morning. Hard work, grit, and the American dream is what drives Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is made here in Florida. Small batch is made by real Americans, and they really love their product, and so do I. It fills my cup every single morning, and if you believe in hard work, American values, and coffee that actually tastes like coffee, go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use code 20% off. Code Benny for 20% off your first order. Support the American dream and drink Blackout today. Ladies and gentlemen, there's too much happening today. Too many moving pieces, but it's an exciting time to be alive, and we're happy to even have Trump randomly live in the program. We're proud to be able to bring you this program. And not only did we have Donald Trump live, we had Eric Trump and Don Jr. live. So there you go. It's the hat trick. It's our honor to always do this and to march with you on to victory. It's your boy, Benny. See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.